Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My track guide for the MX5 around Oulton Park, the international layout. Let's get into it. For qualifying you want to be all the way on the left to open up turn 1 a bit more. My braking marker is the banner with the yellow text on here on the left. When I get to that I hit the brake for about 95% brake pressure in a really quick hit and quickly off the brake again before trailing the brake for a little bit. The apex is the top of the corner where I cut the curb a little bit, but don't take too much, because there is a little bit of a height difference on the inside and that will unsettle the car. Once I get close to the curb, I'll apply the throttle again. And we do have a fair bit of room on the outside. You want to use all the room you can, but keep one set of wheels on the curb to not get a 1X. We don't really have to talk about turn 2, because we don't have to do anything for it. But for turn 3, keep the car on the right. For turn 3, we have a little hill. When we start to go down in that is when you're going to apply the brake. I go to around 60% brake pressure before I go into trail braking all the way to the apex. The apex is late in the corner, where a part of the fence on the inside stops. This is also where you want to pick up the throttle again. You need to be quite easy with the inputs here, especially on the first lap, because it's really easy to spin the car here. When we are full throttle, you want to use all of the room on the outside. I don't use the outside curb because there's a chance you'll get a 1X. On this straight draft is going to be really strong. Just keep that in mind when you're racing here. For turn 4, we don't actually have to brake. All I do is I lift. Some do like to hit the brake for around 20% and quickly off it again, but I prefer to lift. I turn in and lift when I get to the curb here, and I turn in to pretty much follow the inside curb all the way around, with controlling the car with the throttle. You want to come out of this corner around the middle of the track or slightly on the left side. Turn 5 is not that good of a braking marker. I try and brake just half a car length before this white stuff here on the right, and I brake hard about 95%, and I carry that all the way to the embankment of the corner. And because the corner is banked, we can actually carry more speed than we think. I stay close to the curb on the inside. If you go too low and go over that curb, there is a little ridge. If you hit that, that will unsettle the car quite a lot. You want to pick up the throttle in the middle of the corner. When you do that, the car should naturally want to walk out on you, and you should be able to use the curb on the outside. If you go off, you've gone on the throttle too early, and if you have to lead the car out to that curb, you've gone on the throttle too late. On this run, I could probably have gone on the throttle a little bit earlier. Now get the car over to the right. The combination 7, 8, 9 is a place where you can lose quite a lot of time. I keep it in second gear here, and I don't have a clear braking marker, so I try and use the dust here just in front of us on the track. Once I get to that, I'll hit the brake hard to about 95% brake pressure. We want to get as much speed out of the car before the first curb, because you want to cut both curbs here. And I'm on the brake all the way to the second curb. Once you get close to the curb, you want to ease off the brake just a little bit. I go to about 30% brake pressure. Once I clear the first curb, I'll actually brake a little bit more, just to help settle the car down. Once I get to the second barrier, I'll apply the throttle again. In this one I had a little bit too much speed, because the car is quite unsettled when I go on the throttle again. So I have a little bit of a drift. Just don't touch the grass. And now for the second straight. Here again people are trying to gonna draft you, but again for qualifying you want to be all the way on the left. For turns 10, 11, 12, I use the 50 board here on the left as my braking marker, and I brake just about a car length before it. Again I brake as hard as I can, 95% brake pressure, and all the way down to the first gear. You want to get as close as you can to the tire wall on the inside without hitting it. Once you clear the first wall, you'll be able to apply the throttle for a tiny bit before getting close to the curb of the second tire wall. Once we get to that curb, you'll have to brake a little bit again, a quick hit for about 25%. Once we clear the second tire wall, you should be able to go on the throttle and come out about mid-track. Bring the car back over to the left, and now you just want to lift for turn 12. You don't have to brake for this one, but you want to turn in so you use as much of the curb as possible. There's a bit of a dip on the inside of the curb. If you hit that, it will unsettle the car, just as I did here. And of course use all of the curb on the outside as well to keep your speed up. Now draft is gonna play a part again, so keep that in mind when racing here. So for qualifying you want to take the shortest route possible, and of course set up for turn 15. So you want to place the car all the way on the left for that one. For this one also the braking marker is not that easy to see. Again I use a patch of dirt just here in front of us. It's much easier to see when driving. Once I get to that I brake with a peak of about 70% brake pressure, and of course quickly trailing off the brake to the first curb. If you apex in the middle of the first curb and get on the throttle after that curb ends, you should be fine for the second curb, as this is a double apex corner, simply due to how wide it is. Once we clear the second curb, the car should naturally want to walk out to the curb on the outside, and of course you want to use that as well. If you hit the grass, you might have gone on the throttle too early. For the last corner, you want to be all the way on the left. You can see we're going a bit up and down. So just like turn 3, once we start to go down, you'll have to brake. And here we have to brake hard, 90 to 95% brake pressure, and trailing the brake all the way to the curb. I stay in second for this one, and once I get to the escape road on the inside, I'll apply the throttle again. I hit the curb just a little tiny bit too hard here because the car started to drift quite a lot. Normally you'll just be on the curb, but I did manage to keep it on the track. Of course, take the shortest route possible to the line now. And that's a lap of a 152.1 for me. I hope this guide has helped you. If it has, leave a like down below. Consider subscribing as well. And now for the uninterrupted hot laps.